starts in June. We are hoping that the month of June really is different. It's just that we are tired of COVID. COVID. We are tired.
You can kill us.
We can, Charlie, having the minor motive.
Major motive against our minor motive.
Yeah, bro. So whatever you are doing, we are doing business festival in June. We'll do radio, we'll do TV, we'll do plenty things. Abba. So we are doing Citi business. This is a Defiant Citi Business Festival, and we are doing it. Of course, cases have gotten to 7,000 by the way. Yes. We've crossed the 7,000 barrier. But we are doing business festival. We're going to give you insights on the need to advance your business. Very importantly, we're going to help you restart after COVID. How do you move to the next level? How do you work from home, which is the new normal? How do you enter agric whilst COVID is still there? How do you innovate for the future? All of this is happening, both radio and television. If you want more information, you can call 0205 973 973. In fact, you can register to be part of the TV Zoom conversation so we can see your nice face on TV. You can pose a question to our panel people. So the number is 0205 973 973. Guys, let's jump into the newspapers quickly. What's the headlines?
Okay, front page of the Daily Graphic. Bernard, government yet to decide on stranded Ghanaians. 230 ready to foot evacuation bill from South Africa. 2 armed robbers jailed 100 years, says the front page of the paper. And the Ofanko landlord has been remanded. Yes, EC meets political parties today, but NDC declines participation and no registration of schools without PTA, according to the National Inspectorate Board. I think that revelation was first made on your show, Bernard, when you interviewed Dr. Hager.
Yes.
Now, if you go to the Ghanaian Times, we will evacuate stranded Ghanaians home. This is the Foreign Ministry. President swears in Mensa Bonsu, Kolendi as Supreme Court judges. GCNet to shut down on Monday as ICUMS takes over. And Ghana's COVID-19 confirmed cases now 7,000, and it's over 7,000 now. The paper is late with the update.
Front page of the Herald newspaper. John Kuma reacts to plots against him ahead of MPP primaries. National security buying Woyome's 3 houses put out for auction by the Supreme Court. IGP transfers Mile 7 police commander over unprofessional conduct. Interesting. And there's one here, Deputy Chief of Staff on doing Bantama NPP MP with expensive gifts.
Now, the finder, 8 hospitals receive 10 ventilators. Help protect the independence of the judiciary. President to Kolendi. Sekendi, Takrade and Takwa are new hotspots for COVID-19. And security personnel, informants fighting smuggling to be compensated by Cocoa Board.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Chaos in NDC over new register. Obinim begging Kennedy forgiveness. Killer landlord remanded story is here, and Malian petitions CID over harassment.
The Chronicle, 45 health workers test positive for COVID-19 in Central Region. President swears in no nonsense Henrietta. That is their headline. MFWA boss.
I think that's accurate.
Yes. MFWA boss. Mahama is coming back for what? That's a question he's asking. There's a picture of Suleiman Abraham on the front page. Methodist minister wants elections in 2020 postponed. Hey. And NEIP boss makes strong case for a Jesu seat.
Front page of the BNFT. The big story, I think, has been hidden down there. GCNet to shut down on Monday. Chairman assures stakeholders of smooth operations. Aviation's dilemma, to open or not to open. Revenue shortfall now over 90%. GCA airport company may require government bailout. Staff proceed on leave without pay. Non-critical projects suspended. We'll give you some details on this.
Now, the Ghanaian Observer, President Mills's death probe looms large as Mahama aide makes more revelations. NDC can't blame its failure on EC. This is Samir Oku. Attempts to smear NEIP boss backfires. COVID-19 donors to enjoy tax relief. And Akufo-Addo swears in Mensa Bonsu, Yoni Kolendi as Supreme Court judges.
Let's get into the headlines online. EC to hold IPAC meeting today. NDC still expected to boycott. Other stories. Final year's first. This is Professor Ade advising against wholesale opening of schools. Meanwhile, hairdressers, doctors, and MPs. Why not musicians or bore on face-to-face? Of course, the big story. Ghana's case count 7,117. Recoveries now 2,317. While our debt hit 34. Citibusinessnews.com. Cocoa Board to reward security officers who helped curb cocoa smuggling. Also, pricing of a turbo gas pressure and quality must be checked. This is COPEC. And GSS urges businesses to volunteer information for its business tracker survey. MyJoyOnline.com. 2 more die of COVID-19. Ghana's case count hit 7,017. NPP may adopt e-voting for upcoming primaries. This is Freddie Blay. And government to hold final talks on easing restrictions on Friday. Watch out for that meeting. I'd like to be a fly on the wall listening to the submissions. Star News. Eastern Regional Hospital begs for water for COVID-19 patients. Also, result of MP's COVID-19 test not known yet. Parliament reacts. And 33 Ghanaians killed in New York by COVID-19. This is pretty serious. Now, let me take you to the eastern part of Africa. Africa's COVID-19 cases, this is the East African newspaper, says is now over 115,000 as the pandemic has spread across all 54 African countries. I'm sure you know this already. Meanwhile, Algeria backs hydroxychloroquine use. This matter is all over the place. Hydroxychloroquine has a big debate. The BBC lead story, Twitter tags Trump post with fact-checking warning. This is unprecedented. So Twitter is basically warning you that that particular tweet could be false in terms of the facts contained in there. Meanwhile, US cops fired after death of an armed black man. All kinds of crazy stories across the world. Guys,
There's lots of big stories today, Bernard. Where do you want us to start from?
I still think that it's fair to give an update of the COVID-19 numbers.
Okay, go ahead.
Which the newspapers do not have, but which we, the portals, have. So here's a story on citinewsroom.com. Ghana's COVID-19 cases have increased to 7,117.
Okay.
Announced by Ghana Health Service via its website on the evening of Tuesday, May 26. Update indicates 153 new cases, 220 more recoveries, and 2 more deaths. Greater Accra leads 5,008 cases. Wow. Ashanti Western 1,085 for Ashanti. Western 344. Western is almost like the new place of increase.
Flavor.
Central 337, Eastern 102, and the rest as previously known. Now, let me now go into the sort of related stories, right? Final year's first, Professor Stephen Ade is speaking, and this is in relation to whether schools should reopen wholesale or not. So this story says, renowned educationist Professor Stephen Ade has suggested the reopening of schools for only final year students as a debate on whether or not schools in Ghana should be open amid the outbreak of COVID-19 rages on. He has advised government not to rush to reopen schools for all levels because such a move will be counterproductive in the country's fight against COVID-19. Now, background, President March 15 directed closure of schools ranging from basic through tertiary to curb the spread. Speaking on Eyewitness News, Professor Emeritus indicated that prioritizing the sizable final year class over the others would rather make the situation more manageable to reduce the risk of infection. Sounds pretty sensible. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, other stories. MPP may hold e-voting for upcoming primaries just because of COVID issues.
Yeah.
Story on myjoyonline.com. Chairman of MPP, Freddie Blay, is rooting for e-voting for the party's upcoming parliamentary primaries. Mr. Blay observed that there are so many proposals, including e-voting and handpicking of candidates currently before the National Executive Committee. However, he insists that e-voting will be a far better way of conducting the primaries. And he explained that he has examined how the e-voting works and is convinced this will enhance the party's democratic credentials.
Okay, well, there are stranded Ghanaians around the world, and South Africa seems to have a lot of them.
Yes.
And on the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says that government yet to decide on stranded Ghanaians. And it says that the government has not yet taken a decision on the evacuation of stranded Ghanaians abroad. A Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Charles Oredu, has said. However, he said the government had collected a substantial amount of data on such persons from 63 missions abroad, and the process was still ongoing to facilitate any such decision and other supports they might require. The Deputy Minister said the stranded Ghanaians abroad had been put into 4 phases in which they will be brought in if a decision was taken. Now, the phases are the following. So the first are those who came from Kuwait, who traveled on their own and got stranded but willing to, and those who traveled on their own and got stranded but are willing to pay. Then there are those who traveled on behalf of the government and are working with government agencies and went out there for conferences, as well as students who are on scholarship and have finished. And then for phase 4, it involves people who traveled on their own but had used monies on them and were now broke and now destitute. And even if you provide an aircraft, they cannot pay. So the government is looking into all these scenarios.
So do you have any more COVID stories?
Yes, 45 health workers test positive in the central region. Sekondi, Takoradi, and Takwa are new hotspots for COVID-19. So let me give you those two stories.
Yep.
The Chronicle reports that 45 health workers in the central region have reportedly tested positive for coronavirus. Now, the Cape Coast Metropolis and the Commander Edina Eguafo Abrim municipality are the two main leading spots where these cases have been recorded. Dr. Kwabena Sapon, Deputy Regional Health Director in charge of Public Health, confirmed this to the Chronicle via telephone yesterday. And according to Dr. Sapon, about 8 of the confirmed cases were those involved in contact tracing, as well as those who lead in the management of the treatment of the infected persons. It is suspected that 37 of the confirmed cases among the health workers were contracted whilst they were in line of duty from carriers who did not show any sign or symptoms. Now, if you go to the Sekondi and Takwa area, John Elliot Hagan writes for the Finder that Sekondi, Takoradi, and Takwa in the Western region are the new hotspots for COVID-19 infections. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, has disclosed. This takes the case count in the Western region to a total of 334 cases. Now, it's even gone a
It's
bit.
now 344.
Yes. According to him, the towns recorded 57 out of the 156 new confirmed cases of the previous update, which shot the case count then to 6964. Now we are at 7117 or something.
Yes.
Now the Greater Accra region recorded 72 cases then, while the Central region recorded.
Let me give you a quick
23
Takoradi
cases.
update
Yeah.
because Akwesi Ajayinim reports that Sekondi, Takoradi major markets to be closed over surge in COVID-19 cases. Now, major markets in Sekondi, Takoradi metropolitan area and the Western region will be closed down tomorrow, Thursday, May 28th, due to the surge in the cases. According to the PR officer of the Assembly, John Lache, the markets are expected to be reopened on June the 3rd after a disinfection exercise. The affected markets include Takoradi Market Circle, that's a major, Kojokro Market, Sekondi Market, Ifiokuma number 9, and Jubilee Park Central Market. Now, the area so far recorded 100 out of the 334, but with the new cases, it could be a bit higher.
Yeah.
Then, Eastern Region, I'm just giving you headlines from COVID in the regions. Eastern Regional Hospital begs for water for COVID-19 patients. This is on Star FM Online. The management of the Eastern Regional Hospital is appealing to the general public to support the facility with quantities of bottled water
Hey.
to meet the high demand daily for water by coronavirus patients on admission. The hospital is a COVID-19 isolation and treatment center for the region, with some persons who tested positive being managed there. Head of admin at the hospital, Mrs. Mary Amponsa Kwetia, told the media and co-radio on Tuesday that the COVID-19 patients drink a lot of water and to hydrate. Hence, the facility spends a lot on water. Then, still on, this is very interesting stuff.
Hey.
Then there's one, they said Takwa, Prestia. Prestia Huni Valley runs out of COVID-19 isolation space. This is citynewsroom.com.
Okay.
CEO of the Prestia Huni Valley Municipality, Dr. Isaac Dasemeni, has revealed that the municipality is running out of COVID-19 isolation space following the increase of COVID-19 cases to 31. The MCE said this when Goldfields Damang Mines supported the Prestia Huni Valley Municipality with a donation of PPEs, disinfectants, and thermometers worth $118,000. And he told Citi News the assembly is currently seeking to acquire a new space from a private facility to be used as an isolation center. So those
Okay.
were some of the stories.
We'll get into the Takoradi issue because, Bernard, the market square story, if you recall, in the early days, they moved the market to the Jubilee Square. So I want to find out what happened. We will get into details on that. But let's go to the economy, Bernard, before we go to politics.
Yes.
There's a lot happening.
Yes.
Now, the BNFT has two big stories. GCNet to shut down on Monday and aviation's dilemma to open or not to open. Let me give you the aviation story, Bernard. According to Ose Usua Mankwa, the aviation sector, like other sectors of the economy, is counting its losses and grasping at straws to survive. With players expressing mixed feelings about continuous closure of the borders, everyone agrees that the decision taken by the president to close the land and sea borders to human traffic effective March 22nd is by far the most decisive. But the closure has come at significant cost to all operators in the sector. Sources in the sector have told the BNFT that if airspace is not opened to international commercial flights soon, the two major agencies, Ghana Airports Company Limited and Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, will need a bailout from government to survive the third and fourth quarters of the year. According to the Director General Simon Alote, in painting a picture of the current situation, he says that for now there are no commercial flights. We only allow humanitarian flights, evacuation of stranded citizens by foreign embassies and countries, and cargo flights coming in to bring much needed medicines and food. The bulk of revenues are the passenger charges. The airport depends on passenger service charges, civil aviation safety charges, etc. All these are zero. So virtually we have lost the bulk of our revenue, over 90%, but we are taking appropriate measures.
casualties.
Yeah. Now, he pointed out that industry regulators have put in place measures to cut down operational costs. Staff have, for example, been asked to proceed on leave without pay. There's a ban on new recruitment, promotion, anything that will add to existing costs.
Okay, so that was the first one.
Yes,
What was
and
the
then the
second one?
GC Net One, Ghana Community Service Network Limited, is set to shut down its operations at the nation's ports to finally give way for Unipass, now ICOMS, to take over single window operations at the port. In a series of letters written to the existing vendors and various port stakeholders, the acting commissioner of GRA instructed that from Monday, June 1, 2020, all transactions without exception in respect of import-export shall only be processed from ICOMS.
Monday, June 1 is a big day in Ghana.
Yes.
Because, Charlie, as fate to have it, the president's speech will probably be on Sunday. 31st May. So, Monday, June 1 there. The traffic will not be easy. Now, easy to hold IPAC meeting today. NDC still expected to boycott. Story on City Newsroom. The Lalia Dogla Besa highlights. Electoral Commission is today expected to hold an inter-party advisory committee meeting on the compilation of a new voters register. The meeting to provide updates on the commission plan for the register is expected to be held in two groups, with the first one at 10 a.m., the second at 2 p.m. The lead opposition party, the NDC, say they will not participate in the meeting because they argue that the meeting has been improperly arranged. Peter Boma Otokono, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, reminded that his side already walked out of an IPAC meeting on March 25 after raising some concerns. He says this meeting does not constitute a proper IPAC meeting because they are divided one committee into two groups. You may want to call it double track, but to decide on the same issue. And we think that with any such approach, you are not going to properly appreciate and understand the issues and contributions of the various political parties. But MPP has described the NDC decision as unsurprising, insisting the electoral process will not be deterred.
Bernard, let's go back to the economy, and this time we look at the agri sector. Ghana stockpiles sufficient fertilizer for the 2020 crop season.
Is it?
Yes, and the story says 6 West African countries, including Ghana, have stockpiled more than 1 million metric tons of fertilizer in anticipation of any further disruption in the fertilizer supply chain due to the COVID pandemic. Ghana, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Nigeria, and Senegal have collectively imported about 1.1 million tons of fertilizer in May 2020 alone. This is contained in a recent industrial report released by the West Africa Fertilizer Association. Now, if you check the same newspaper, Go Street Business, the front page, peasant farmers pursue government for 75% subsidy on fertilizer. And the story says the Peasant Farmers Association is asking the government to increase the percentage of subsidy on fertilizer and other farm inputs from the existing 50% to 75% to assist farmers deal with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Wow.
The association said the request has become necessary as the pandemic has negatively impacted the finances of farmers, curtailing their ability to purchase fertilizer and other inputs.
We'll be discussing
agribusiness
during the Citi Business Festival, and I want to urge people to tune in and register because that will be dealt with. Now, let me go back to politics. This is myjoyonline.com. A group called IPRAN is threatening to disrupt the mass registration exercise should the EC proceed with its plan to compile a new voters register. According to the group, the election management body is employing crude Machiavellian tactics with its plan to compile a new roll ahead of this year's election. At a press conference on Tuesday, IPRAN described as disappointing the EC's move to amend CR 91 Section 13 to exclude the current voter ID as part of the primary identification document required by an eligible voter to go through registration ahead of the polls. Now, one of the spokespersons was Bernard Mona, who was speaking to the press.
Okay, let me take you to an update on the big story from yesterday of Anchor landlord remanded. That is on
I
page...
was hearing that story everywhere. They
Yeah.
say he shot his
tenant. Page 13 of the Daily Graphic. The landlord who was arrested for shooting his tenant out of Anchor in the Greater Accra region has been remanded in police custody by the Abeka District Magistrate Court. The accused person, Victor Stephen Anakankam, 38, was arrested on Sunday by the Mile 7 police for allegedly shooting his tenant. So that is the update that I have for
this
you.
is so sad. This is so sad. Anyway, yesterday you guys discussed this thoroughly. So let's go international. Let me do a few quick stories. Twitter tags Trump tweets with fact-checking warning. This is on BBC. A post by US President Donald Trump has been given a fact-check label by Twitter for the first time. Now, President Trump tweeted, quote, "There is no way, into brackets 0, that mail-in ballots will be anything less than substantially fraudulent." Twitter put a warning label under the post and a subsequent tweet under its new policy of misleading information. Mr. Trump responded by tweeting again, saying that the social media giant is completely stifling free speech. Twitter's notification displays a blue exclamation mark underneath the tweet, suggesting readers get the facts about mail-in ballots. I think this is a significant development for misinformation because, it's not just Twitter. Social media has become the hotbed of telling lies and confusing people. If they can find internal mechanisms of warning people that this filler may not be true, it will help stop the spread.
And Bernard, I'll give you an interesting update later. You recall that story from March where a hospital in South Africa became a hotbed for Durban. COVID spread. Well, 2 months later, a 37-page report on that incident has come out, tracking every single person and how that person was infected.
Amazing.
From that hospital.
Maybe we should do something for Ghana.
For the Tema factory.
In Africa, our COVID-19 cases in Africa, 115,000. This is on the East African. The number of COVID-19 cases across the continent surpassed 115,616 as the death toll surged to 3,479 on Tuesday, according to the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And the figures from the CDC showed amid the rapid spread of the virus across the continent, the most highly affected countries are South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, and Morocco. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Stay with us.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.